Hi.
Hi, everybody. That's Leeanna. This is Rob. Um, we're here to just talk about the whole election shenanigans. So I got this, I don't know. I saw this on X. Everyone's like, oh my goodness, 20 million extra votes.
So,
And that made me go, hmm.
yeah.
So I did some, I don't know. Now you see, you made me mess it up. I almost said analysis or now, I don't know how you say it. You said it weird. Some
Yeah.
analysis. Oh, analyst. That's what yeah, I don't know. Anyway, um, so I did some analysis on this. Now, this whole stuff here, going to here, first of all,
All right, let's slow down.
yeah, I go fast, man. I'm like straight to business. I'm sorry.
Yeah. The election was 2 days ago?
Three
Three
days
days,
ago now.
3 days ago. Trump won.
Yep.
And this all came because in 2020 he lost.
Yep.
And if you don't know this, you've been under a rock for 4 years.
Yeah. Um, yeah, there's a lot to talk about, to be honest.
But
Let me just go into the data. How about that?
yeah, yeah. And everybody has been arguing over whether or not Biden cheated.
Or yeah, like
Or
I've seen Republicans saying that this is evidence of the cheating, and I've seen Democrats saying maybe we did cheat. And I'm like, we're not even done counting now. It's the eighth.
yeah,
Like that seems a little no.
yeah.
So I don't know.
I don't know. Okay, so what have you been finding by looking at the actual numbers?
Well, first, let me give you the mythology so you don't think I'm crazy and making
Okay.
shit up.
Okay.
First of all, I used the Guardian for both sets of data. I analyzed this isn't it.
And
Gee.
when you say you use the Guardian, what do you mean by that?
So you're gonna make me bring it up. This is one of the sites I used to track it on the night of the election. I stayed up until I knew the results.
Okay.
I actually stayed up until past I knew the results just to make sure. Um,
So this is their interactive
Not interactive, it's the live tracking. So if you
okay.
go into each state, it brings you exactly all the data. This is the 2021. Okay, that's another anomaly we'll talk about in a minute. I thought it changed, but that's the 2020 stuff.
Okay.
But yeah, I use the same site for both sets of data. So this is all the 2020 data.
Okay.
This is the 2024 data. You'll notice there's a lot more stuff than the 2024 data. First of all, that's because it's not done counting. So there was a lot of extrapolation I did to figure this out.
Okay.
Um,
So that was their map of who voted where and for what?
yes.
Okay.
Now in 2020, obviously it's all done counting. Hopefully, maybe some places aren't. Um, and I combined all third parties together just as a thing, and then just basic math, and my alarm goes off. Um, but if you look, the gray areas are the data I input.
Okay.
So there and here. And the reason for this is because this was the amount of counting that was done.
Okay.
I completed this 10 o'clock on 6th, so about a day and a half ago.
Okay.
I updated it today at 1 p.m. So you'll see some things that change, and I'll explain all of that.
Okay.
That's the methodology.
Okay.
What do you want to talk about first?
It's a
You want
lot
to
of
talk about the
numbers.
20 million or 15 million everyone's throwing around?
All right. Why does it say 20 million?
Well, for starters, if you go down here, Democrats are almost 7% less voting overall so far based on extrapolation.
So is there 20 million missing voters? Is that what everybody's saying?
That's what everyone's saying, but it's going to be closer to 7 million when it's all said and done. So basically, as it turns out, if you look, I'll show you here. If you look at the count, right?
Mm-hmm.
Here you go. This is the best way to do it. So this orange highlighted the ones that were, as of the 6th, not counted. That's when everything was going down and 20 million was out there.
Okay.
So out of all of those oranges, those are the anomalies, right? They were really low counts.
Okay.
Two were red states, which were like Utah and something else. I don't remember. Two were swing states, which were Arizona, Nevada.
Mm-hmm.
and 5 were blue states, including California, Washington, I think Colorado. So very large states,
Hmm.
um, which explains the anomaly of 15, 20 million. Because, I mean, even now, California is only 58% counted, and it was 54% 2 days ago.
Okay, so it looked like it was 20 million because we weren't done counting yet, is what you're saying?
We weren't even close. I'll give you an example. In 2020, there were 11 million Democrat voters,
Okay,
and so far we haven't even counted 9 million. So we're too short. And it was less than that 2 days ago. So
okay, that makes
that's where that
sense.
comes from.
Okay,
The green are the swing states.
okay.
And we'll talk about all of this. The gray here are anomalies from originally.
Hmm.
So you'll notice like what an anomaly means, just so everyone knows where it's coming from, is if the average, for instance, is, where is it? Here it is. So if the average is above 1,
Hmm.
then anything below 1 is an anomaly,
Okay,
like in this case for Republican voting. And this is the percentage. So if you see 0.97, that means 97% of the people that voted this year voted in 2020. If you see 108, that means 8% more people voted this year than in 2020. And you can compare the numbers. That's where it comes from. It's just basic. So you're not going to see like the percentages of Republicans versus Democrats in 2024 because you can find that anywhere.
okay,
This is Republicans versus Republicans and Democrats versus Democrats and third parties versus third parties.
okay. So this was the number, so if it's a one, it's the same amount of people that voted in that area.
Roughly, because this is the exact number difference. Well, exact again, extrapolated. Now this is Florida, so maybe they were done. Yeah, they were, I think, done 99% done. So essentially it's yeah, pretty accurate.
Okay, okay. I see what you're saying.
Yeah.
Based
There's a
on
lot here.
based on what was reported of who voted. Okay.
Right. So I told you about this over on this side. This is who voted. These are the actual stats. These are updated for anything that was less than 98%.
Right.
They were updated today.
Okay. Yeah, and the county is not even done in some of the states yet, or is it?
Yeah, like Alaska, Arkansas, both at 76%. Or not Arkansas, I'm sorry, Arizona. And interestingly, it's highlighted gray because it's the exact same percentage it was 2 days ago, I think.
Okay.
Maybe I'm wrong. Hold on. No, it's not. I'm sorry. I'm wrong there. But
Okay.
it is that for these two.
Okay.
New Jersey and New York haven't changed,
Okay.
which was interesting. Um, what else? What else do you want to know? So some key facts. Third party voting is up 40% compared to 2020, which I think is also a reason Democrats were lower
Okay.
because that's a big jump.
Yeah.
Um, I don't think it cost them the election. I think it's the lack of showing up that cost them the election.
Well, third
Or,
party voting was up in 2016, and I think in 2020 people were less likely to vote third party.
yeah, that leads me to some of the anomalies. If you look at the swing states, in most of them, third party voting was down.
Yeah.
Not all of them, but in most of them. I think half actually is what it came out to be. But like Georgia, it's less than 30%. That's weird, to be honest. And to
Yeah.
add to that, Georgia's the weirdest one, to be honest. To add to that, it had more Democrats voting, which is an anomaly, but not necessarily only swing states. Like if you look at California and Maine, like it happened,
Hmm.
but not a lot.
Okay.
This one actually changed. It was an anomaly, but they kept counting, it went down. So the extrapolation was, it was just, so the way I extrapolated is I based it on the percentages that had voted and I just extrapolated out. Now I changed, if you want to look at the overalls.
Hmm.
So like for Republicans, because they're up,
Hmm.
all I did, and most Republican states were done counting or at 99, 98%. So all I did is a plus minus what is it called? Plus or minus 1% is the actual number. That's the margin of error. There it is.
Right.
So, according to my calculations, 2.89% more Republicans voted this year than last. So it's between 1.89 and 3.89, for instance. But because the West Coast were the ones that primarily didn't finish counting, or they were like really far down, I made it 3% plus or minus,
Okay.
which puts them at negative 10 to, or a negative 5 to negative 10 million at the end. Does that make sense? So after everything's said and done, I expect them to be between negative 5 and negative 10 million compared to 2020.
So you expect them to have less, 5 to 10 million less than they had last time?
Yes, currently extrapolated out, it's negative 7 million.
Didn't California have a lot of people move out over the last 4 years?
I mean, they did. I can't. That's another thing is this doesn't tell you details like that. Like that's a possible factor that contributed to this. But all I know is California is down about 2 million votes so far based on
Right.
extrapolation.
I'm just
Yeah.
wondering if you've seen any other states go up by a significant factor or
By, well, yeah, like I said, like Colorado is up 2%,
okay.
but California is down 20%
Yeah.
according to the extrapolation, just based on everything, which is one of the lowest. I think New York is down. Where is it? Yeah, 0.85. So it's 85%.
Did you
New
see
Jersey
any
is down.
did you see any spike in numbers, say in like Texas or any other red state?
I didn't really look. No, Texas Democrats are down 8%, which appears to be close to the average. Republicans are up 9% in Texas. Another thing I'd like to mention, if we voted this strongly in 2020, I did a I did a analysis based on comparing this Republican vote to this Republican vote and this Democrat vote, and it would have been a sweep across
Interesting.
almost across the board except Arizona. I was going to say I think there was one, but yeah, Arizona is the only one. So it would have been nearly a sweep. Now, whether that's good or bad, I don't know, but that's where it would have been.
It
And
is what it
and
is.
the 81 million votes wouldn't have mattered because most of those were in Colorado, Washington, California,
Right. Right.
according to this. And they were down like all the way this like in almost every state, like I said.
Now, was there any so was it just down on Democrat votes this time or
It's down on Democrat votes and up on Republican. Republicans are up almost 3%, which may not seem like a lot, but if you look at the like Georgia, they were up 8%. Democrats were up 3%, but Republicans were up 8%. That's why they won. Um, they kept saying too big to rig. That's what they did. Too big to rig.
okay. Yeah, I
Uh,
figured we hit the too big
yeah.
to rig.
Now the gray did highlight anomalies originally in my first analysis, but some of them have changed. If you look here, Ohio, um, oh no, not Ohio. Sorry. Here it is. Maryland wasn't an anomaly, and now it is. That's why it's highlighted in orange because that's the update. Whereas originally Republicans had voted more, but now as they continue to count, um, and they're fully counted now. So now it's an anomaly. 2%
Okay.
less Republicans voted, but 19% less Democrats voted in Maryland. So, I mean, that's not an anomaly because, again, most states had a downward trend in voting for Democrats.
Right.
I know this isn't very interesting, but, we can also compare like non-swing states to swing states. So, for instance, for third party voting, if you don't count swing states, third party voting was up almost 70%. And in swing states, it was up not even 15%,
So
which
you
is
saw an
interesting.
increase. That is kind of interesting. You saw an increase in the swing states, but you saw a decrease in
It doesn't necessarily mean anything because swing state voters know they're swing state voters. So
That's
they're
true.
less likely to, be motivated by a third party if they're like, I really need my party to win or whatever,
Well,
you
that's
know.
true. We did see an increase in Amish going out to register to vote this year, we saw an increase in several different
Amish is like
inst
Pennsylvania, right?
yes,
Yeah. We had 150,000 extra Republican votes in Pennsylvania.
and we were told that around 150 to 2,000 Amish went and registered.
200,000. Yeah, yeah.
So there's that. And they all said they were going to vote Trump. So there's that.
Oh, I'll give you some more information. That is very interesting. If you look at Nevada, at their current standing, they're currently at 96% counted.
Hmm.
That means there's roughly 60,000 votes left based on the totals of all of these.
Hmm.
Um, the Republicans are in the lead by 30,193 votes.
Hmm.
That means they need 60,229 votes to overturn it, if the Democrats to overturn it,
Okay,
which means it's nigh impossible for them to do that.
good to know.
Arizona is in a similar boat, although it's not quite to that extent. There's about 630,000 votes left. The difference is the Republicans are in the lead by 155,000.
Hmm.
It means Democrats need 470,000 to overturn it, which is about 75%.
Okay, that's
Yeah.
it's good to know.
Tons of anomalies, though. Like I told you, Georgia had a ton of them. The biggest ones, like they had the lowest third party voting. Um, I think they didn't have the highest Democrats, but the fact that it's positive
Hmm.
is an anomaly in itself. But then again, so did Colorado. But again, like you said, California, they could have moved to Colorado. I mean, they're right near each other. That happens all the time.
That does.
That is interesting. That was a good thought. So it doesn't mean they did do anything, like there was any cheating. It doesn't mean they didn't.
Yeah.
It's just an anomaly. It's
Yeah.
just it bucks the trend. That's all.
Yeah.
And some of it's like not a lot. Like 3,000 extra Democrat voters in Maine doesn't, that's not a lot.
It's not something you can really account for.
Yeah, and originally it was lower. This happened later, and I think Maine is done as well, almost 98%. So, and I have the old numbers too, because I want to see how close things are and how close I got to calling them. So anything I updated, I kept the old numbers just to be sure. If you want to go down, these are the actual estimates right now. These are the old estimates that I had based on the previous stuff. So it's
It's pretty close.
2.89% up for the Republicans, and it was, I think, the same. Oh, it was 2.91, so it's slightly less.
Still fairly close.
Yeah.
Didn't
Yeah, and
you?
if you look, go ahead.
I was going to go back to what you were saying about third-party voting. Didn't you say that the New York wasn't reporting third
Oh, yeah,
parties?
yeah. New York. And I verified this with people who live in New York. So I know people that live in New York. They had zero third-party voting counted. And I found that to be just weird. So I asked some people I know there,
Hmm.
and they said there was absolutely third-party people on the ballot, and they know people that voted for the third party.
That's interesting.
Now, and they're 97% done. They haven't changed in 2 days. So maybe they just said, this third party, let's not count it. It doesn't matter. I don't know. I don't know how that works.
Not
But
sure how that works.
anything like that, actually kind of curious. Let's take a look. See if they counted them yet. Although I just checked it. One, yeah, no. Still no third parties listed at all.
That's interesting.
Yeah, very interesting. What else was there? I don't know.
That would account for some of the missing voters.
Well, let's see. Where was New York? They up or down? They're down. Yeah, they're down, but they're down 6%.
They could have 6% of independent voters if they're not reporting them.
No, not with 60,000 out of 8.5 million votes last time. Now they're down 15% on Democrats. So that's probably the big thing and up four. Now here's some other interesting stuff. Non-swing states, Republicans voted the average 2.9% higher.
Hmm.
But in swing states, they voted 6.2% more.
Interesting.
Yeah, just and Democrats didn't overall vote higher in swing states.
Interesting.
Um, Yeah, that one is interesting. But that's because Pennsylvania, they voted less. Um, North Carolina is actually 257 more, so it's right on par. Michigan, they voted less, even though they voted more in Georgia. Arizona, they voted less. So
I'm not really surprised with North Carolina after what happened.
yeah, that's true. That's true. Although I bet you those people weren't Democrat voters. I mean, they lived in the mountains and the hills, not in the cities. Just my assumption. I don't know. Um, Overall, non-swing states, the voting was down 98%, which is on par with the average.
Yeah.
But for swing states, it's up. It was up 2%, 2.7% overall.
Okay.
All very interesting stuff, but it doesn't answer the question of where the like why the 7 million. Now I could tell you they had a bad candidate. Um,
Yeah.
that's not going to bring people out. That's going to make them vote for third parties, and that's what we've seen.
Yeah. Third
Is it
party was up this year.
yeah, is it 3 to 7 million worth of or 5 to 7 million worth of like bad or just not showing up? Maybe. I mean, you're not going to be motivated to vote for somebody, especially in like California where you're solid blue
Yeah.
for somebody
I
you're not
mean,
really you don't care
look at
about.
history. Look at 2016. Nobody wanted to vote for Hillary, and it got so
I should
bad.
have thought to compare it to 2016 as well, but I did not. I didn't even think of that.
Yeah, 2016, nobody liked Hillary so much that they almost voted Johnson to the point where libertarians would have been recognized on the ballot regularly.
Yeah. Oh, that's another interesting thing. I don't have that on here, but I noticed there was a lot of RFK voters. I don't
Yeah.
think it was enough to change the election,
No.
but it was interesting.
Yeah.
It was interesting. And Green, Jill Stein got quite a few votes as well.
Yeah.
That's really. I mean, unless you have any questions, that's really all I got. I think we covered the two that haven't closed yet, Arizona and Nevada.
Yeah.
Oh, I did a little bit of a this, so I changed the way I calculated California. Originally, I based it off of the average at this point, whatever the total was there. But I changed it because the percent of voting for Democrat versus Republican in the update was significantly different,
Hmm.
37% versus 63%. So I changed the way I forecasted that one, but that's the only one I changed.
Okay.
So I don't know if that, I don't know if anyone cares, but that's yeah,
Okay. It's good to know.
yeah, that's all I got.
Trying to look at the numbers, see if I have any other questions.
Yeah. Yeah, I tend to just run through and just talk. So I'm glad you're asking questions, stopping me.
So you did a straight comparison of Republican to Republican, Democrat to Democrat.
Yeah. Yeah. Like I said, the orange here and the orange here are all the new anomalies. So if you look here, the totals, there's not like anomaly is maybe the wrong word because it's 21 out of 50, or I guess 51. I don't know. It's 21 out of 50.
If it's within a couple of people,
I thought DC was in there, but I guess not.
it's not too much of a difference, but I guess it adds up after you get to several states.
What do you mean?
Like, scroll back up. So you have Alabama has 849,000 Democrats in 2020
Hmm.
and 776 Democrats, which is,
This time, yeah, which is
yeah,
72,000 less. Yeah.
yes, which is less than what they voted last time,
Yeah.
which,
I mean, that's across the board, just about. Like I said, California is way down. Colorado is up, which is they're one of the anomalies.
and it could be from what we saw in a
I
lot of
didn't hide. Yeah, I
posts
did.
that have been on X and different social medias, a lot of people said they thought they had it in the bag. And what happens when a lot of people think that their candidate is just going to win, they don't go out and vote. Like the
Yeah.
polls, from what I've read about a lot of polls, is when polls say that the one candidate's winning so much above the other, it can do a mind trip on either way. It can tell the one side that thinks they're winning, I don't need to vote, or it can tell the side that thinks they're losing, I don't need to vote. So it could be that a lot of Democrats thought they didn't need to vote and Republicans were too afraid to lose.
Yeah, Republicans had the too big to rig thing going on
Yeah,
Twitter. So they wanted to knock it out of the park.
right,
So that there could, even if they cheated, they can't cheat enough. Kind of that was the mindset. So
right,
I think they did that. Like they absolutely dominated this election,
right,
and not
definitely.
just in the swing states, throughout every state, just about.
Right,
Like even the ones they lost in, they were up. Like they were up almost everywhere. Hawaii, they took a vacation.
right.
California, I mean, it's California. Your vote's not going to matter. So I get that. Like there are exceptions. Mississippi is another one. Um, but
Mississippi, didn't
Mississippi,
they
like
have problems with their wasn't there problems with the voting machines that day? I
I
don't
didn't
know. I don't
I didn't
remember.
hear anything in Mississippi, but like even Democrats are down. Like everything was down in Mississippi. Maybe they had a weather event or something because nobody showed up at the polls,
Right,
essentially.
right.
Overall, 85% less. That's 15. That might even be the worst, to be honest. That's
Yeah,
really bad.
yeah. It's saying we're running out of time. So just
Oh well, we can stop. It's fine. I was just
okay.
looking.
Yeah,
If anyone's still here, thanks for watching. Hopefully
yeah,
this was interesting.
yeah.
Maybe it taught you something. I don't know.
Yeah. Yeah. We definitely did accomplish the too big to rig for sure.
Yeah,
Um, Numbers were interesting to looking at. You did do a great analysis on it, I think.
yeah. I'm weird. I enjoy that kind of stuff. So I
Thanks for
started that.
sharing.
I started that like the night before during the election. I was like, nope, this one's gone. You can't flip that one. You can't. I was trying to tell people, but I'm just some guy in a stream that's trying to chat. I was like, forget it.
It's fine. Thanks for sharing.
Yeah, I can stop sharing my screen, I guess.
Okay.
All right. Well, thank you, everybody. Appreciate your time if you're still here.
Yeah. Come back and like, subscribe, do all the things.
Do all the things.
Okay. Bye, guys.
Bye.